So strap in. We're going to get nerdy. I'm going to get pissed. And we'll see how this goes.
Yes, the 4 R's. If you add repair to reduce, reuse, reduce, recycle, repair, right? And how much more effective it makes the circle, the cycle.
Yeah.
If you add that to it, and with batteries, let's not get this twisted. With lithium-ion batteries, it is completely possible.
Tell us if you're an expert listening to this and you don't agree with us. Come on the podcast. Tell us what we're missing, please.
Certainly, creating a warm and engaging introduction for your podcast. Consider Great Tell Me as a suggestion that combines an upbeat and inviting spirit without any background music. Welcome to Tangelic Talks, your go-to podcast from Tangelic, where we dive into the vibrant world of clean energy, development, sustainability, and climate change in Africa. We bring you inspiring stories, insightful discussions, and groundbreaking innovations from the continent making waves in the global community. Tune in and join the conversation toward a brighter, greener future. Let's get started.
Welcome to Tangelic Talks, a podcast at the intersection of energy, equity, and empowerment with your wonderful, brilliant host, Victoria.
And the other incredible co-host, Andres Tamez.
You didn't have to go that far.
Well, today's episode is our deep dive, so we're going to get quite nerdy, and we're going to be talking about the true cost of clean energy and AI, where the cloud meets the mine. So we talk a lot about clean energy, artificial intelligence as the keys to a better, greener future, however we want to say it. But what if the road to progress is still paved with exploitation and extraction? And that's kind of what we want to dissect today. We're peeling back the layers of this new tech revolution. We're going to explore the promises and the perils of AI and renewables, the hope they offer, hidden costs they conceal, and what it really takes to build a just, sustainable transition. So strap in. We're going to get nerdy. I'm going to get pissed. And we'll see how this goes.
I might get pissed too.
Well, here we go.
You never know.
Kick us off then.
Okay, so oh gosh, like we brought this topic because it's the big thing right now, and one of the main I've been looking into this a lot, and there is so much that goes into the AI revolution. I think one of the biggest issue with it is the fact that it is a bubble, right? Like it is something that for now everybody and their mom is trying to get into. And so what does that mean? Well, that means it's going to be extremely resource intensive, at least for this period where it's being set up, right? And all the resources, from energy to rare earth minerals to human resources to what would you call it? Water, just simply water, right? Like everything right now is at a point of copper, even like even things that aren't rare but are really important to these industries are right now feeling the strain, a hard strain, because of how fast this boom is, and it's not looking that good at the moment when it comes to its greenness, its footprint, especially when it comes to energy, and especially when it comes to and then we have the justice side of it, where the most probable thing with every tech bubble, right, is that right now tons of people are being hired. Let's say 90% of these companies are going to get crashed or bought off by the big ones, and everyone's going to get fired. so like, yes, when it comes to a bubble, people, I see a lot of discussion of like, okay, are we going to lose or are we going to win? No. Some people are going to lose and some people are going to win. Most people are going to lose. And the ones that are going to lose are usually the people that are doing the frontline work. And the VPs, some of them are going to lose, but like the big CEOs probably be fine. They're going to be bought out. They're going to be blah, 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 blah.
Exactly.
Let's start off with how do we connect this to how do we view this in terms of mineral extraction, right? Like we have a huge China and the global south, right?
Yep.
These are the two places where we're gonna get the supplies needed to maintain this. Big ones, powers. These big data centers need power, and they need power redundancy. So UPSs, uninterruptible power supplies,
Yep.
which are batteries, basically,
Yep.
giant batteries. And where do we get all these things? We get them from usually places where it's resource intensive to mine them, and it's usually kind of exploitative.
Kind of is
And,
very nice of you to say.
like I don't want to make any definitive statements. Okay,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
no controversy for me. So we got lithium and cobalt. We got like all the like classic rare earth minerals. We have the silicon that is used in all of the chips. Like in every single conceivable way, these AI is resource intensive.
Yeah.
And so how do we unpack that? Like because we say, because I think this is you've mentioned this to me, like one of the big things that I actually didn't know, because I always thought it's more of a tool, but you said that it could actually be a really good tool for a greener future because of its predictiveness, because you can use it to what was it again?
Yeah, so the thing with AI, as every tool that we've created, it has its upsides and its downsides. One of the things that it's going to be really useful for is predicting the energy that the grid is going to need. So there are a lot of projects around the world that are using or that are engaging in grid upgrades because we need more energy, right? And AI can help us predict how much energy we need, so then we can plan the infrastructure to expand the grid. However, a lot of the new energy that we need is because of AI. So we're kind of saying, oh, we need to expand the grid so we can provide more energy, but more energy to who? To the supercomputer AI that is kind of devastating the planet. But it's also helping us understand how we combat climate change. So it's really intricate because it's one of those things where we have to take the hit, or we have been sold that we have to take the hit so we can do other stuff. And
Yes.
This is what tends to happen in the green sector, where something comes on and the vision of AI is that it's efficient, it's intelligent, it's going to help us with empowerment because we're going to be able to do better adaptation measures. But the hit that we have to take to use it is where it gets a bit muddy, I would say. And now AI is being introduced in mining. So you're talking about mining for minerals and critical minerals at that to create batteries that we're going to be needing. So if we put AI in mining, there's a lot of examples of AI being used to improve forecasting and reduce operating costs. We all can assume that mining is very dangerous. So we can use AI to check the areas that are going to be mined before we send people down there and risk people's lives. So that sounds really good, right? We're protecting people by using this tool called AI, right? It also promotes data-driven sustainability, at least in theory, because we're not just going in blind. We're getting the predictiveness that AI allows to a certain extent. So we're not putting people in danger without knowing that this is actually a safe project.
Yeah.
But again, it's very energy intensive.
It's very energy intensive. It's also like early deployment. We're in the early deployment stages of AI, so who knows how exactly effective it is on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, I had something very specific to say in it. And the train flew off.
It went straight through.
Yeah, it went straight through.
I mean, this is the thing, right? Like AI, and the reason we are putting AI and clean energy in the same one is because they both promise the same thing. They both have this technological optimism about them. There are signs of innovation, there are signs of progress, of, clean energy means decarbonization, AI means efficiency. So it means that we're going to cut down on our carbon, we're going to cut down on emissions, we're going to cut down on destroying the planet, all these things. But then the paradox is that they're both very energy hungry and very resource intensive, right?
That's one of the things that I wanted to say, because yes, like you will hear a lot of words from the tech CEOs, right, about how it's this much more efficient, it's this much more efficient, it's this much more efficient. But usually that efficiency isn't going to reduce isn't it's not directed at reducing, it's directed at increasing their output. And so the energy consumed is still going to be really high.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and on one side they're like, it's so efficient, guys, it's so efficient. On the other side is we actually need a grid that is enough to power a city to power our data center. So
Yeah, exactly.
so you have these both sides of the same coin. And you yes, it technology is efficient, it gets more efficient, that isn't the case, but at the scale that we're using it, it's very energy intensive. Something can be efficient and use an insane amount of energy at the same
Exactly.
time. Like those are not those. That's not. Sometimes it sounds like they could be contradictory, but no. Efficiency is just how effective it is at using. Well, I don't want to. Efficiency in a more lay term is how much it can take of advantage of the energy it uses. And in these terms, this technology is really efficient because AI chips are designed specifically to do AI tasks.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And to use it and to do that using as minimum energy as possible. So with older GPUs, they weren't designed for that. They could crunch a lot of data the way these AI chips can, but they were a lot less efficient. These chips are very efficient, but like we've gotten to the point where like this might be a good thing for people like me who are really pro nuclear. Like there's been a lot of buzz about having the modular nuclear reactors set up just to power data centers.
Yeah.
And so that to me sounds pretty appealing because it means more of that gets people to have less of a bias against nuclear energy, right?
Yeah.
Which is something that I'm very passionate about, nuclear fission. Because we have we have magic rocks that make energy, and what we do is we shun them and we're afraid of them, despite the fact that almost nobody in history has been affected negatively by them compared to any other form of energy creation, right?
Yeah. Also, a lot of these data centers are still powered by fossil fuels.
Oh yeah.
So, it's not the most efficient thing, is it?
No, it depends on their geography, right? If you're close to a dam, you're probably powered by a dam, but almost nowhere is close to a dam, right? Like, so geothermal, not in the U.S. It's not like, I think that's an no. Solar and wind make up maximum 4% of the energy in the U.S., I believe, something along those lines. So all of this is coming from fossil fuels.
Yeah.
All of this is coming from fossil fuels, and there are alternatives that exist. And if this could push any of those alternatives, especially nuclear fission, in my opinion, that would be a great thing, right? Because it would make these like far off goals like Project 2050. It's like, how about Project 2030?
Yeah, exactly. It's also one of those things, like the promise is that we have to take the hit now so that after 2035 we are all powered up by clean energy, renewables, everything has stabilized. This happens, we've seen this in history before, where there is a point where we have to take a hit and then we come out the other side, right?
Yeah.
It's just a big hit. And something I want to also remind people is that there is a promise to communities, because a lot of these data centers and the mining that has to happen for AI hardware, for rare and critical minerals like cobalt, lithium, nickel, even copper, are happening in communities that they have a name for them. They're called safety zones or something like that. Also, everything we're talking about, there's going to be links on the blog, so you can check us on our data, but also just if you want to learn more and you have any questions, feel free to tell us. If you're an expert listening to this and you don't agree with us, come on the podcast. Tell us what we're missing, please. But a lot of these zones are just thought of as safety zones that can take the hit. It's a bit of necropolitics, and I'm not trying to use jargon here. Necropolitics is the belief that some people have to take the hit so the greater public can benefit from it. And that isn't very just. However, I would be remiss to think that everything works for everybody, right? So I do understand that. I'm not trying to be patronizing here. However, the promise that communities are being told is that renewables can decentralize power systems. They can empower communities to be prosumers, so they generate and manage their own electricity. It's supposed to democratize access, reduce cost, enhance local energy security, but also it's supposed to have supportive policy and financing as key to inclusion of these communities. However, you are saying that to a community that is being forcibly displaced by a big company that wants to come in and mine for critical minerals so they can create their data centers. So it's incongruent because you're telling communities this is going to be really good for you. Also, you have to leave your community so we can do this. That makes no sense, right? And we have examples of this. Like there's this big company that has been displacing Romanis in Serbia and some people in Chile, I believe. That's not great, is it? A lot of these communities are in sacrifice zones. So sacrifice zones are basically places that suffer injustice, like in Mexico, Chile, Nigeria, Indonesia. And it's where big businesses and transnational cooperations contaminate the river, air, waters, and soil for profit, while the price is paid by the local community, suffering degradation of their health and ecologies. So again, you have a big company coming in and saying AI is the future, is going to help us predict the extreme weather events that are going to be happening in this place. However, we need to build that AI center. So you, the people who would be the most affected, are going to have to leave so we can do that.
Yeah.
Very incongruent, in my opinion. But then again, how much of a hit can we take?
Yeah, well, okay. You also have to ask the question, is it worth taking the hit? Like, is it worth taking the hit for, like, is AI going to be worth it? Answer, probably yes, right? But, like, at the same time, like, what because I was watching Mark Zuckerberg talk about it, right? And Marky Mark. And so, like, he was like, the accelerationism comes from who is going to be at the top, right? Yeah. Which one of these, like, they never say the quiet part out loud, which is which one of our companies are going to be the ones that stand tall and buy everyone else out and not crash like everyone else. And so to do that, you need to be at the very, very head. Mm-hmm. And so you need that sacrifice. You need to make those sacrifices. It's like, okay, but like, it's like the Lord Farquaad thing is like, some of you may die, but that is a risk I am willing to take. It's like, okay, how can you talk about when you are not making the sacrifice? Like it's somebody else's sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it's all because they need to be at the head. They need to be at the peak because that's the way it is. Like, if they want to be in this industry for the long run, if they want to be the dominating players, they need to be the one to build up the infrastructure fastest and to build up the strongest infrastructure. And I said, cool, but the grids can't take it.
No.
The grids aren't able to take it. The Earth probably, like, you could say, like the necropolitics thing, you could say that there are places where, you could do this and it needs to take the hit. And you know what? I'm almost fine with that. Right? As long as you are responsible, which I don't know how responsible they're being, seeing how much they're expediting everything.
Yeah.
Because everything needs to be done now. Everything needs to expand right now because they need those resources right now. Mm-hmm. To be at the race, to be at the head of that race. And so it's hard to believe them. It's hard to take their word for it that they're being responsible when at the end of the day they're doing their best to be the first to rush to the end of the and then we have the ethical aspects of, like, these companies, if you violate their like copyright, if you infringe on anything about them, they will come at you.
Yeah.
But they're feeding their AI with data sets of all the work everyone has done, all the copyrighted work everyone has done, right?
Mhm.
And when you say anything about it, they're like, well, this is the sacrifice you need to make,
Yep.
So
Exactly.
there's a level of hypocrisy.
Yeah, no, exactly. And again, we are in crisis. And I want to believe this is happening because we are in crisis, right? It is a climate crisis. We've seen the world react in not the best way when we're in crisis because you got to do something. You can't just sit there and hope it blows over. I understand that. However, it feels like we've created a new problem. And now we're saying, here's the solution to the problem we created. Because even from a practical standpoint, the amount of millions of liters of water that are needed to cool AI data centers is massive. Yearly, it uses millions of liters of water. But then you're also building in places that are water deprived.
Yeah.
And then you're
And we don't
taking away the chance of, for example, hydroelectric power, because now we got to use that water to power up and cool the AI. And there's all this electronic waste from obsolete hardware that adds to environmental burdens. And also the deforestation, because you don't just show up somewhere and build. So again,
or you displace farmers. You could do that. You could displace farmers,
you
which is
do.
something that does happen. That's what you do.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
and then
where's
there's also the human rights abuses, because there's this amnesty report from the Democratic Republic of Congo that cobalt and copper mining are tied to human rights abuses. We know this. But now it's being repackaged as innovative. And it's part of the work that we're doing to expand AI and also help us with renewables.
It seems like a big PR campaign. Like it does seem all the positives of that. Like I feel like, because like I've always been a techie. I've been paying attention to this industry, right? I know for a fact that all this stuff that you said, like you want to hope that this is one of the primary aspects of AI. I know for a fact they're an afterthought to companies like NVIDIA that provide all the AI chips. Like I know Jensen Huang was not thinking about sustainability at all when when he's like that we need to develop the highest end, and I think he cares about it, right? But
Mhm.
Jensen is also like he's the god emperor of NVIDIA, so like he cares about NVIDIA more than anything else in this world, and that's what he cares about. That's all I can only say that about Jensen, because I followed him for so long, right? Like I don't know about the other CEOs. I don't like Sam Altman that much. I don't like all the other guys, but I don't know them that well, other than the fact that I criticize mostly everything they say, because almost everything they say is completely disconnected. But but with Jensen, I say with full confidence that he believes in his product.
Yeah,
that is his main motivation. It is not like any sort of need to and he believes what it can do for the environment, but he also believes that it's going to make him and NVIDIA extremely successful for the next 1 billion years.
And then again, like, is that so bad, right? If you have a product / a tool that makes you money and also helps us advance what we're trying to do, and that's not the worst thing in the world, is it? It sounds like a win-win. It's just never that black and white. Yeah. And I think that's where we get tripped up. So if we connect that to renewable energy, AI can help us predict how efficient a solar farm will be. That's incredible, because now we can start solar energy being more mainstream and widespread in different places. But the amount of water and deforestation that went for us to be able to use that predictive tool kind of defeats the point. So it's really hard. It's a hard one. And I don't know. I want to remain optimistic and just think we are in crisis and we're just scrambling. But it's a hard one, especially if you see AI as the new oil. So who's doing the drilling and who's living with the spill, right? Who's taking the hits? And many times, I don't know if people are familiar with AI colonialism, but it's kind of a parallel to extractive colonialism. So there's a digital one and the parallel one, and both exploit unseen labor and ecosystems because the global south bears extraction and labor burdens, while the world centralizes in the north. But also low-paid data annotators, resource miners, and communities that are facing health and livelihood impacts are also the people who are being displaced and exploited to mine for the minerals that we need for AI. But then again, AI would be really good to expand renewables. So,
right, and
what do
the
we
governments
do?
don't help. The governments here,
God no.
They absolutely do not help.
God no.
I
No.
remember hearing this story about here in Mexico how like they tried to they there was a company trying to set up like wind farms, right? And they were trying to generate energy, and they completely went broke because the government was like, okay, you can only sell up to this amount of energy, and they were like, okay, what's the point of building up our infrastructure more and more?
Yeah.
You know, like. And so that project died, and it was a good deal for, like, for example, farmers. Like, we're going to build this on your land, but you don't have to pay for electricity ever again.
Right, there you
Right.
go.
So like it was a good deal for a lot of for several people, but the government was just like, actually, we sort of like monopolizing the electricity. So
Sorry.
that's at least the case here in Mexico.
Well, yeah. And again, I don't want it to come off as we're just sort of, being a bit. Yeah, exactly. So if we move from extraction to regeneration, there is a way for us to rethink this progress with a more just and clean vision. Okay. So one of the first things that we should be looking at, and these are emerging ideas, is ethical sourcing and transparency. We need stronger global supply chain laws and certifications. It just has to happen, because if we're going to accept that we need to continue mining for these minerals, then we need the supply chains to be more transparent and to be more ethical. It's 100%. Just got to happen.
We need to actually, like, if you're like, this is such an important thing for like the economy and stuff like that, then I want to see you put money in these places, right? Because like that's the whole deal for them. It's money, like, into the communities, into the places, not just like under the counter, just to somebody who granted the permit, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, we need to be more transparent about these things. We also need more circular economy models, recycling batteries, reusing tech, redesigning systems. I think you were talking about the 4 R's the other day.
Yes, the 4 R's. If you add repair to reduce, reuse, reduce, recycle, repair, right? And how much more effective it makes the cycle.
Yeah.
If you add that to it, and with batteries, let's not get this twisted. With lithium ion batteries, it is completely possible, right? With anything with copper, it is completely possible to recycle the materials in it. And it really is horrible, because a lot of companies that sell these batteries require it to basically end up in a landfill, because you need to pay for it again, right? But at the end of the day, like, once these resources come into your country, they've already been extracted. You need to make sure that you use them 100%. Like, you need to keep on using them. You need to keep on recycling them, like the same way we do with aluminum, right?
Yeah.
We need to do the same thing with lithium, and so many batteries end up in a landfill.
Yeah.
So many completely usable tech. Well, a lot of tech that is made nowadays is basically made to end up in a landfill, but so some of it shouldn't. It doesn't need.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be this way. There's also, and we always come back to this, there needs to be support for developing economies to pursue equitable green transitions. We have to continue, because we've done it really slowly, moving away from the blaming game in the sustainability space, right? We didn't know how damaging carbon was. So there were a lot of economies that were able to grow on carbon. And now that we all understand it and we're pushing for green, we're blaming economies that still rely on fossil fuels.
It's not fair. That's absolutely not fair.
So
right?
we need better policy action, support for these to pursue equitable green transitions. There are a lot of examples out of Africa of countries that most of their, if not all of their energy is renewables. It is doable, but they've had policy plans that allow for that. And also it's very geography dependent, right?
Yes.
Kenya gets a lot of sunlight, and Kenya is powered mostly by solar power, right? Our work in Ghana is solar power and solar microgrids and clean cooking because the geography allows for that. Let's develop these solutions.
If you want a grid based off of solar, which is why I love solar as an energy independence thing, but I don't like it as it's going to be used to feed the country.
Yeah,
you're going to need batteries, and that a lot of them, because the sun shines only a certain amount of the day.
exactly.
And from my perspective, a lot of the resources that can go that you use to build, let's say a windmill, right?
Yeah,
Something for you can just put that into a nuclear reactor, and it would the thing about it is consistency. Why are fossil fuels so compelling, right? And why are they still used? And why is it is okay for us to keep using them? Because we've gotten so much better at using them, and so consistent, right? But we need to know how to use this consistency as a leverage to transition.
Yeah, it's a jump off point.
Mm-hmm.
And again, humans are very adaptable.
Yeah, there are many countries that can benefit from cleaner fossil fuels. There's still fossil fuels, but like China burns mostly coal, right? If they did natural gas, there would be better ways to do maintenance, to capture the emissions, cleaner air, right? Like we need to understand, the tools that are needed for the occasion. Now China, and we're at a point where like we're so irresponsible with our energy that China might beat us to the punch. They might go from being the least responsible to the most, because I think they're working on so much. The gigantic dam they just powered on, right? They're working, I think, on over 40 nuclear reactors they're working on getting set up. Meanwhile, France has one, and most of their energy depends on it. But like, they have such a long history with it, and they still succumb to the fear mongering. It's like almost all of your energy comes from it. Why are you so afraid of this thing that has been around? Like third and fourth generation nuclear reactors are extremely safe. Like fourth generation nuclear reactors are safe at the laws of physics level. Like it is physically impossible for them for something to happen like in the first second gen, like the old school nuclear reactors. And even then it was human error that caused most of those issues.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, fair. Okay, if you know about nuclear, please come on. We need to talk to you. We've got questions. Andres is very passionate about it, so we need the perspective, please. I think
I'm lobbying internally for a specific person that I really want to bring on the podcast.
We'll reach out. But also, I just want people to remember, clean isn't clean if it's not also just, right? And a lot of the progress that we do isn't just about building, but it's about who benefits and who bears the cost. If we're going to accept that we have to take some hits and that there are some sacrifices to be made, just like sacrifice zones in the global south, then let's try to mitigate as much of the damage as possible, right? This is what I keep saying. The climate crisis can't be stopped, but we can safeguard people from its effects. And if we're going to say that this has to keep happening, then let's safeguard people. Let's not displace people. Or let's have relocation plans if they have to be displaced. There are ways around this, but I think to Andres's point of we're just doing things so quickly, there are no safeguards, there are no guardrails being put on. So I want you all to think, if we can teach machines to think, can we also learn to care about the people, places that make this intelligence possible? If we're going to take the hits, how can we safeguard for these hits?
Justice, like the justice aspect, I think is super important for water. Water, like you don't have to go to the sacrifice areas of the world. You can look at California. You can look at the desert states in the United States, right? Like so much water is being siphoned into AI instead of going to farmers, instead of going to places that already struggled with water previously, before AI.
Yeah.
So we just have to take these things into account. There's nothing wrong with AI. It's a really cool technology. It's going to It's going to help us. We're not used to it.
Yep.
We're not. We still don't know what our relationship to AI is. We don't have a healthy relationship with AI, right? Because like people are, it's a tool. It's going to replace us. It's this. That. I think we're going to find a middle ground. But for now, in terms of its sustainability, in terms of its justice, and in terms of its use, it's all up in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to be more responsible.
We have to be more responsible. And again, it could be a really cool tool to help us advance clean energy. And that would be the goal. We just have to see how we're going to get to that goal. And that road cannot be marked by injustice and, pain. Because then what was the point? So we'll leave you with that. Again, if you know about the topics that we're talking about today, please reach out to us. You can send us an email, podcast@tangeliclife.org. You can check out the blog for this episode at tangeliclife.org, where we'll have the resources and some bites of what we've said so you can read more. And thank you so much for listening. If you disagree with us, comment. If you agree with us, comment. And if you just have questions about things that we could talk about in our next deep dive, guests that you want us to have on, anything like that, please let us know. We'll also leave some action ideas for you if you're feeling a bit doom and gloom after this episode. It's okay. Hope isn't lost. We just wanted to bring this to you because it's one of those topics that we keep going around in circles in the energy space and the sustainability sector in general. And it's important that we keep in mind this technological optimism versus material reality of the things that we are pushing as the next big thing. Bye.
Let's talk power, let's talk change. From rural lights to brighter days. Equity rising, voices strong. We're building tomorrow where we all belong. Tangelic Talks, energy, equity, pride. Empowering the world, side by side. A spark becomes a fire, a vision that's true. Together we rise, it starts with you.